Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Breakfast Extra once again for a December Sunday morning. Now, I'm about to tell a very familiar story, but I think I'm going to come at it from a very unpopular angle. Before we dive in, however, Merry Christmas in advance. And let's thank good old Father Christmas himself, Aliko Dangote, for bringing down petrol prices, at least just by a notch. Ho, ho, ho. Or maybe it's actually because, see, there are weeks in Nigeria when nothing really shocks you. And then there are weeks that remind you that we're still very capable of very big surprises. And last week was one of those weeks. Because whenever something moves very quickly in this country, you should stop whatever it is that you're doing and pay attention. Because speed is not our usual style. Now, a senior government official woke up with a job one morning and then went to bed without one. There was no drama, there was no public investigation, just a new name waiting quietly on his desk the next morning. Now that alone should raise eyebrows, because this is the same system where files sleep on tables for years, where they say we're looking into it can last forever. So when things suddenly begin to move with speed, it means something serious is happening, or maybe someone powerful has spoken. Now let's rewind a bit. The story started with a voice, a Nigerian voice, a voice that we know so well, a voice that owns cement, it owns sugar, and now it owns oil. Ho, ho, ho. Aliko Dangote, he accused engineer Ahmed Farouk, head of the NMDPRA, of corruption. And not any petty corruption, no. This is a kind of corruption that involves foreign schools, foreign currency, and figures that make Nigerians sit upright and shout, hail! And then nothing. No evidence, no documents, just silence. And then speed. No public investigation, no process, just a call, a meeting behind closed doors, and engineer Farouk's immediate resignation before the public could even have time to digest the accusation. Just like that. Then, in the same breath announcing Farouk's exit, the presidency announced his replacement. No gaps, no vacuum once again, and no, we will announce the new head of the NMDPRA, nothing like that. Quick. Everything was already ready. Now, at this point, you don't need to be a cynic. You just need to be a Nigerian, because things don't get ready overnight unless they were already ready. People don't leave quietly unless decisions had already been made in places. But here's the uncomfortable question, the unpopular angle, one that puts aside whether the corruption claims against Farouk are true or not. If the presidency can move this fast, when powerful businessmen like Aliko Dangote raises an issue, then why does it suddenly develop a knee injury when the issue is insecurity, or when the issue is hunger, or millions of young people with no jobs? What happens when the people crying are not powerful is the question that we should be asking. Villagers facing bandits, young people looking for work. On those issues, the government suddenly needs time. They need meetings, committees, patience, good luck, sometimes even Jonathan. And that difference matters. It tells every regulator and every citizen something very clear, even if nobody is saying it out loud. It tells them that your job is not protected by the law alone. Otherwise, in this case, there would have been an investigation. It's not protected by procedure. Otherwise, there would have been inquiry. And it's not even protected by competence. Otherwise, there would have been accountability. Your job is protected by the size of the foot that you are about to step on. And in this case, this foot also whispered, I know what you did last summer, and I'm ready to implicate everyone down the line. And maybe that is the real reason Engineer Farouk was removed, to break that chain before it reached any further. Now remember, I'm not defending anyone, I'm not holding brief for anybody. I'm asking about process, or rather, in this case, the sheer lack of it. Because once you understand that this is not really about whether Farouk was corrupt or not, something begins to sink in. When people, or when simple accusations can cause this level of change at this speed, people stop acting with courage and start acting with fear. And that is how authentic regulations die, how authentic regulatory systems begin to rot. Regulators begin to ask, who am I dealing with here, before they say, this is the law. This is how regulation turns into acting. This is how power behaves in Nigeria, how it moves, what it responds to, and who it is willing to implicate when it wants something done now. So the truth is, Dangote may not be acting solely for yours and my benefit. It may also be about securing a multi-billion-dollar investment of his own and being willing to get down dirty to do it. But one thing is now clear, and that is that this government can move fast, very fast, in fact, when it is touched in the right places. So the next time they tell us to be patient while Nigerians are dying, while Nigerians are struggling or waiting, we should remember this past week. Because sometimes it's not that Nigeria is slow, it is that she's selective. And that selection, ladies and gentlemen, should tell you everything you need to know. So, Merry Christmas. Welcome to Breakfast Extra. Let's take a break, and in a minute, I'll be joining Judith, and we'll be starting the show in earnest.